There was no space for you and the kids, as always, my dad said, like every holiday before. Yet, somehow, my sister's kids, her husband, and their dog filled the table. I never argued. This year, I bought a 5-bedroom loft in Manhattan. When Mom said, "We're coming over tonight," my response was icy. The worst part wasn't that they forgot me. It was that they never even noticed I was missing. Every holiday was like clockwork. My dad would pick up the phone just long enough to say, "No room for you and the kids. We're full," and hang up before I could say anything back. I got used to it. Didn't even flinch. After the 3rd year, he always made it sound like a logistical issue. Like there physically wasn't a single inch left for me in their perfectly decorated, overly warm suburban house. But what always got me every single time was how Erica's family somehow fit just fine. Her kids, her loud, sarcastic husband, their massive dog, they filled the house with noise and dog hair and constant chaos. And yet, there was always space for them. One year, my daughter Lena asked why we weren't invited. She was 6. I told her they didn't have enough chairs. And then Erica posted a picture of their dog sitting on a kitchen stool with a napkin around his neck. So yeah, it wasn't about chairs. It never was. So I kept quiet. No fights, no arguments. I convinced myself I didn't need any of them. And honestly, I didn't. But it still hurt. Every year, I cooked a small dinner for the kids. Just us. No extended family. No cousins running through the halls. Just silence broken by cartoons and the clink of our forks. What they didn't know was what I was doing in all that silence. I was working nights, weekends. I put the kids to bed and study contracts until 3 a.m. I got my degree, landed a job in a law firm most people only dream about. And this year, I did something I never thought I'd do. I bought a 5-bedroom loft in Manhattan. I didn't tell them. I didn't even post it online. I wanted peace, not congratulations. I filled it with art, books, real furniture, the kind that doesn't come in boxes. My kids had their own rooms finally with real doors. We had views of the river, a terrace with skyline sunsets, and a kitchen that looked like something off a magazine cover. And then a week before Thanksgiving, my mom called. Out of nowhere. She didn't say hi, just jumped in with, "We'll be there tonight. Your father's dying to see the new place." Like it was the most natural thing in the world. Like they hadn't spent the last 8 years treating me like the relative you wave at from across the street. I said that's not going to happen. He sounded shocked, asked if something was wrong, said they were just thinking maybe it would be nice to change things up this year. That Erica's house was getting a bit tight. I let her sit in that awkward silence for a while before I said I had plans, that we'd be out of town. She hung up. No goodbye, just a click. But 2 days later, while standing in the middle of my living room, the kind of living room that belongs in movies, I changed my mind. Not because I missed them. Not because I wanted forgiveness or some warm family moment. I changed my mind because this was the first year they actually wanted something from me, and I wanted them to see exactly what they'd overlooked. So, I called her back, said I was staying in town after all. She sounded excited. "We'll be there Wednesday night. Erica is bringing her famous sweet potatoes." I said, "Great," and hung up. What I didn't say was that this wasn't going to be the holiday they expected. They wanted Thanksgiving at my place. Fine, but they were going to choke on the taste of what they threw away. They arrived late, of course. Wednesday night turned into early Thursday morning. The intercom buzzed at 12:17 a.m. loud enough to wake up the whole floor. We're downstairs. My mom chirped like we'd all been waiting for royalty. I took the elevator down barefoot and tired. I hadn't planned to stay up, but I guess part of me knew they wouldn't respect a time I never set. When the door slid open, there they were. Erica stood in front like she owned the building, pulling 2 massive suitcases behind her like she was checking in for a week-long vacation. Her husband followed, balancing a tray of homemade food and grunting about the parking situation. Behind them came my dad holding the leash of their dog, a shedding golden retriever that had already started barking the second he stepped into the lobby. They didn't even say hi. They just breezed in like it was owed to them. The moment we stepped into the apartment, the dog bolted, sliding across the polished floors and running straight into the kids' play area. Erica's kids trailed behind, already yelling. One of them had sticky fingers and immediately touched the glass railing on the terrace. The other pulled a decorative pillow off the couch and threw it across the room like it was part of a game. "No, thank you. No, sorry we're late." Nothing. My mom stepped in last slowly like she was absorbing every inch of the place. She looked up at the high ceilings, scanned the custom lighting, glanced down the hallway, and said, "Well, this is bigger than Erica's whole house, isn't it?" I just stood there and watched them turn my home into a motel. By the time I walked into the guest rooms to check on them, my neatly folded towels were already on the floor. Someone had taken one of my skincare bottles into the bathroom and left the cap off. The dog was sleeping on my hallway rug, snoring. I went back to my room without saying a word. Thanksgiving morning started early, not because I planned it that way, but because Erica's kids woke everyone up yelling about the Wi-Fi password. I walked into the kitchen, still in pajamas, and found Erica unpacking her dishes like she was catering an event. She looked over and said, "Oh good. You didn't cook anything serious. I was worried I'd have to make space. I'll just use the oven for the stuffing and sweet potatoes." I told her I had already planned our menu. She smiled like she didn't hear me. The fridge was already half full of their things. Tupperware containers stacked unevenly, spilling a little onto the shelves. My mom was rearranging things inside, making comments under her breath about how my fridge wasn't holiday ready. My dad asked if I had the sports package on my TV. Erica's husband turned on the game and stretched out across my white sectional shoes on. At some point, Lena came into the kitchen holding her school project, a paper turkey with things she was thankful for written on each feather. She had taped it to the fridge the night before. "Grandma took it down," she whispered. I turned. Sure enough, the turkey was on the counter, face down, replaced with a black and white photo collage of Erica's family in matching sweaters. I put Lena's turkey back up. No one noticed. By 3 p.m., the house smelled like cinnamon, garlic, and chaos. I watched from the corner as Erica told my youngest not to touch grown-up plates. My mom scolded Lena for asking for seconds before everyone else had finished. My dad once asked if I was actually living in this place or just pretending to. But the worst part was dinner. They sat at my table, using my silverware under the custom lighting I'd chosen myself, toasting to how far we've come. My mom raised her glass and said, "Honestly, we were worried about you for a while. But this is surprising." Erica chimed in. "Yeah, I always thought you were the quiet one. But wow, this place is something else." I didn't speak. I didn't smile. I just listened. And in that moment, I realized they weren't here for me. They were here for the show, the photos, the story to tell their friends. "Look how well Madison's doing. Isn't she lucky?" They had no clue what it took to get here, what I sacrificed. The nights I cried over textbooks while the kids slept on an air mattress. The meals I skipped, the birthdays I worked through. But now they were in my house, acting like we were a family. Dinner wasn't the breaking point, though. The real tension crept in the next morning, thick and impossible to ignore. Friday started with Erica yelling across the loft at 6:42 a.m. Her son's tablet was missing, and she accused my kids of taking it. Not asking, accusing. I was still in bed when I heard her say, "Check their rooms. He had it on the bed last night." I got up, opened my bedroom door, and stared at her. She was already halfway down the hallway. I told her to back off. She didn't. Instead, she barged into my son's room without knocking. My kids, still in pajamas, looked confused and quiet as she rummaged around like a detective. The tablet? Under her own suitcase. No apology, just a scoff, and, "Wow, guess I'm losing it." Breakfast was worse. Cereal spilled on the floor, my expensive kitchen stools pushed askew. Erica's kids took over the living room, remote in hand, flipping through channels and messing with the smart TV settings. One of them unplugged the sound system and cried when it stopped working. My mom walked into the kitchen, saw the mess, and said, "Still not a morning person, huh?" I poured my coffee and stared out the window. The Hudson was gray and still. The city felt far away. Dad came in, opening cabinets. "Don't you have normal bread?" I said we did. He grumbled. "Not this grainy stuff, real bread." I didn't reply. That afternoon, I took my kids for a walk to get some air. When we returned, Erica's husband was asleep on my couch, socks off. The dog was chewing one of Lena's stuffed animals on the rug. My mom was on the terrace, sipping a glass of wine from my special collection, the one I'd saved for a meaningful occasion. She didn't ask. That night, I was done cooking for them. I made dinner just for me and the kids. Erica noticed. "Oh, we're not eating together tonight," she said, passing the table with a smirk. "You weren't invited," I replied. She didn't respond. Later, after the kids went to bed, it started again. Erica came out of the guest room, holding her son's jacket. "This wasn't in our room this morning." Why was it moved? I looked at her. I don't know. Maybe the dog dragged it. Maybe your kid left it somewhere. She stared at me like I was lying. Then my mom stepped in. We came here to support you, to make the trip, and you're acting like we're a burden. I laughed, not because it was funny, but because that was rich coming from her. I told them they could leave. I'd already booked a car for Saturday morning. Erica froze. You're kicking us out. No, I said. I'm taking back my home. Dad muttered something and shuffled to the couch. Erica rolled her eyes and slammed the guest room door. Mom shook her head and said, we were trying to be family. I replied, you had 8 years to be family. One holiday doesn't fix that. They stayed the night, but the vibe had shifted. No fake compliments, no forced small talk, just heavy silence. The car arrived at 9 a.m. I didn't wake them. The driver buzzed until they scrambled to pack. They left without saying goodbye, not to me or the kids. I didn't care. I thought that was the end. I thought I'd close the door and feel relief. But then I went to put away laundry and noticed something off. A small velvet envelope I kept behind the TV, the one with emergency cash, was gone. $2,000. Missing. I stood there, staring at the empty spot. It wasn't possible. I'd hidden it under a decorative box, not obvious, but accessible if I needed cash fast. I'd put it there after the citywide blackout earlier this year. I searched everywhere, drawers, shelves, the closet safe, even the laundry basket. Nothing. The house was too quiet. My kids were at a friend's down the hall, watching a movie. I was alone, the faint trace of my mom's perfume still lingering in the air. I thought about calling them, but stopped myself. Instead, I checked the guest rooms. Towels were crumpled, coffee stains marked my white bedding, and empty wine glasses sat on the nightstands. Then I saw it. On the floor by Erica's bed, one of my gold hoop earrings, the one I'd lost months ago. Strange, because I never brought it in there. I picked it up, and that's when I noticed the matching velvet pouch was gone too. I didn't need proof. I didn't need to accuse. The pattern was clear. Take what's not yours, act like it never happened, and play innocent when called out. It was classic Erica. She'd borrowed money in college and never paid it back. She'd used my car once and returned it with a dent, swearing it was already there. Always that same wide-eyed act. This felt different, though. Deliberate. I sat on my bed, breathing slowly. Then my phone buzzed. It was Erica. Hey, we left something at your place. Can you check the nightstand in the guest room? Should be a small jewelry pouch. I read it 3 times. My hands shook, not from sadness, but from the audacity. I texted back, no jewelry pouch here. She replied, weird, must have packed it by mistake. Sorry if the place is messy, the kids were restless. Hope you're not mad at mom. I didn't respond. The next morning, I went on with my day like nothing happened. Dropped the kids at school, met a client, ordered new flowers for the living room. Everything looked perfect again, spotless, calm, expensive. But that hollow feeling in my chest wouldn't leave. Then, that afternoon, a text from my mom. Your sister says you think something's missing. Don't start drama, Madison. We don't need that. Not what happened. Not are you okay? Just don't start drama. I didn't reply. That night, I stood by the window with a glass of wine, staring at the cold city lights. My reflection looked calm, but I wasn't. I thought revenge would feel good, powerful. It didn't. It was heavy, empty, realizing they never loved me enough to be sorry. I decided to forgive her, but silently, erasing her from my life without a word. Locking the terrace door, I saw a shadow behind the curtains. Nothing was there, but I found a damp velvet envelope under a chair with $2,000 inside, and a note in Erica's handwriting. You left this out. Don't lose it next time. No apology, just that. It felt worse than theft. I stared at the envelope, its torn corner and smug note burning me. It wasn't about the money, it was control. Erica couldn't stand my life without her, so she left her mark to unsettle me. It worked. I didn't sleep, just sat in the dark, the note haunting me. By morning, I blocked her, number, socials, everything. I removed my mom from the school's emergency list, changed the building code, told the doorman no visitors. Done. I told my kids enough truth. Some people, even family, don't make you feel safe, and it's okay to love them from afar. They nodded. Lena said, okay. That night, I boxed up every photo with my parents or Erica. Fake smiles, forced holidays, and the loft felt honest without them. The next day, I found another envelope in the guest bathroom. A boutique receipt for a child's sweater and gold earrings, dated before they left, in Erica's handwriting. She'd taken one earring, returned the money, but kept what she wanted. It wasn't theft, it was betrayal. I taped the receipt in the box with the photos. Forgiveness was gone. They didn't reach out until the silence stung. My mom texted, "We all say things we don't mean." I ignored it. Erica sent a photo of her daughter wearing the stolen earring, saying, "Lucas misses you." So do I. I didn't reply. Silence was louder. I replaced everything they'd touched, glasses, towels, even the rug. The loft felt mine again. The kids were happier. They stopped asking about Grandma. Lena asked if we'd skip Christmas with them. I said yes, and she smiled. I locked the velvet envelope in the safe, not for the money, but to keep it away from their touch. One night, I sat on the terrace, wine in hand, feeling peace, not from fixing things, but from letting go. They noticed my silence, and it hit harder than any fight. Weeks later, a box arrived with the second earring, no note. I tossed it in the trash. Forgiveness wasn't a second chance. It was nothing, and that felt like everything. A month later, I attended a rooftop networking dinner in Soho. When asked about family, I smiled and said, "They're back home. My real family's my kids, waiting for movie night." The woman nodded. "Sounds like the good life." It was mine, finally.